Moving now to one of the other important conversations in leadership. Tell me, when does leadership become extremely crucial in the organization? And during crisis, what do leaders have to make?
To motivate, to give a focus and guidance.
Decisions. Leaders really have to make decisions. Let's give them a good hand for understanding that. Very nice. In crisis situations, leaders are required the most. Is that right? Yes. Level 10 answers, please.
Yes.
And in that crisis situations, they have to make a lot of decisions. So is decision making important in leadership? Yes. It is important. I've written recently a book which is published, which is known as The Power of Making Decisions Right. Would you repeat the name, please?
Power of making decisions right.
I haven't written the name as The Power of Making Decisions. I've rather made the name as The Power of Making Decisions. Now, why didn't I write the name as The Power of Making Right Decisions? I could have also written The Power of Making Right Decisions. But that's not the name. The name is The Power of Making Decisions Right. The word right has come later, not earlier. Now, grammatically, if you understand, the statement has a lot of meaning. So why have I grammatically made a different statement? Instead of saying making right decisions, I have said making decisions right. Why? Can somebody explain?
Right decision is from your perspective. It might not be right from someone else's perspective.
Okay, brilliant.
Right decision is more important rather than making it right.
So, what's your name again, sir? Neil Khan. Would you give Neil Khan the good hand, please? Very nice answer. In reality, is there any decision in the world which is the right or the wrong decision universally?
No.
Is there any decision which is universally right? Hello?
No.
Wrong? No. Right and wrong is very subjective. We can never have a right and a wrong decision. Do we agree? Yes. That's one perspective. The other perspective is that decisions on their own, are they ever right or wrong? On their own. Like this is a marker, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Do you ever have a ready-made right or a ready-made wrong decision? Which you can just pick up saying, this is the right decision, this is the wrong decision. Is there any such decision in the world? No. So actually, as far as I'm concerned, grammatically it's wrong to say making right decisions. Because there is nothing called right decisions. And there is nothing called wrong decisions. You have to make decisions right. You have to make them right. They are not right. And they are not even wrong. You make them wrong also. That is the reason I named the book as The Power of Making Decisions Right. So the making is in double quotes. Yeah? So this is the first thing I wanted you to understand when we talk about decision making. Now there are 4 facts, very important facts, which you have to understand about decision making before we start learning about how to make decisions. Okay, the first fact is, you tell me, every decision has a cost. Is that true or is that false? All of you together, please.
True.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yes. Every decision has a cost, and there is no two ways about it. If you're going to have your food in the restaurant when you went above there, you will have to pay the cost for it. Is that right?
Yes.
I mean, you or Rajiv, whoever. But eventually the cost has to be paid. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So write down. That is the first fact. So there are 4 facts as we are discussing. The first fact is every decision has what? A cost attached to it. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, the cost is attached to it. Okay. So that's the first decision there. First fact of decision making. All right. So everybody repeat together. What's the first fact of decision making? Whether we like it or not. So every decision has a cost attached to it, whether we like it or not. That's the first fact. Here's the second question for you, which will lead you to the second fact of decision making. Is the cost an option or is it a reality? Is the cost an option or reality? Level 10 answers, please. Reality. The cost is really a reality. It is not an option. So after you have taken the decision, now the cost cannot be avoided. It is a reality. It's like you jump from the top of this building, gravity will pull you down. That's the cost, and that is a reality. Yes or no? Yes. You can't say, chalo option hai, गिरना है कि नहीं गिरना है. कि लगनी है या नहीं लगनी है. एक बार गिर गए फिर लगना तो है ही है. That will happen. Is that right? Yes. A lot of people think there is no reality after marriage. You said Bharat is getting married right now. That's scary, right? After some time you get used to it, don't worry. Just kidding. But really, every decision in the world has a cost. Yes or no? Yes. And is that cost an option or reality? Yes. So write that down. The second fact is, every decision, the first is every decision has a cost. The second is, The cost is not an option, it is a reality. Write that. The cost is not an option, it is a reality. We cannot avoid it. Okay? And then comes the third fact. There are two kinds of costs in the world. There are two kinds of, now since we are talking about costs, there are two kinds of costs. Can somebody explain what are the two kinds of costs in the world? Fixed and variable? Monetary and non-monetary. Something else? Materialistic, non-materialistic? Huh? There are two kinds of costs, and here are the two kinds of costs. I call it predictable and unpredictable. Predictable and unpredictable. So there is certain cost which you can predict. There is a certain cost which you cannot predict. You just can't predict it. See, when you get into a company, you predict that this will be my career when I join the company. But are you sure everything will go as per your predictions? Hello? No, there will also be some things which are going to be. And in every decision in the world, there will always also be a unpredictable part to it. So this is the third fact, that the cost is always predictable as well as unpredictable. Now here is the fourth fact. For the fourth fact, I would like you to understand that the fourth fact is basically to clarify a huge confusion in the world. A huge confusion. Here is the confusion. In fact, you will tell me the confusion. I'll just point you out towards it. Let's say there are two decisions to make, decision A and decision B. Now, you are not understanding which decision to take, whether I should take decision A or decision B. There is an example here that I take is that there is a gentleman during the workshop. This is a true story, by the way. A gentleman during the workshop once came up to me and said, Mitesh, can you take my example for decision making, please? I said, sure. What is the example? And he said, I am considering to leave my job and do my post-graduation from IIM. I said, well, good decision. So what's wrong? He said, I'm not able to decide because, if I leave my job, then what happens? No income, and I have family, my family is dependent on me. So how will I manage that? Because my family needs my financial income. So then there is the job and then there is the education. These are the A and the B decisions. Do you see that clearly now? Hello? Yes. Okay, so he was confused. Now can you tell me what was he really confused about? So let me head you towards the real confusion. See, I told him, okay, let me help you with some suggestions. So I asked him to come here and I said, okay, let's do it this way. Forget about your job for some time, for a couple of years. Do your IIMs, trust me, it's a good decision. You know what he said? Guess what he said? He said, but what will happen to my family? I've considered this option, but it doesn't seem like a good option because the problem is that then I won't have financial income and that will trouble my family. So I said, okay, good, I understand. Now, isn't it not a reasonable problem? Yes or no? Yes. It's a reasonable problem. So I said, no problem, let me give you another suggestion. The other suggestion I said was what? Forget about your IIM for some time. Continue doing your job. What did he say?
But I want to do it.
No, but I want to do my IIMs because, then I won't have the kind of growth the other people will have, the added profile, the leverage of IIM, which my other colleagues have. I won't have that leverage, so my growth won't be that fast. I said, oh, reasonable problem. Reasonable problem? Yes. Reasonable problem. So I said, okay, in that case, let me give you another suggestion. I said, do it this way. Do a correspondence MBA where it's a long distance. Have you all heard of it? Yes. Long distance. You can choose your examination dates also. You can study from home, long distance. And you get your degree also and you continue doing your job also conveniently. Do you know what he says? बोलता है उसका कुछ वैल्यू नहीं है, उसको करके कुछ फायदा ही नहीं. जो IIM में बात है वो correspondence में कहाँ है? Make sense? Isn't that a reasonable problem? Yes? Hello? Reasonable problem? दिख तो रहा है reasonable problem है. I said, doesn't matter, let me give you another suggestion. So I gave him a suggestion. I said, in Pune, like Symbiosis has they have these MBAs which are also 1 year, and the good part is they're evening classes. So it's a full time, it's a proper full-time course, but you have to do it in the evenings after your job. So I gave him that suggestion. Guess what he says? He says, I know those details, but the problem is, अगर पूरा दिन काम करूँगा, शाम को पढ़ाई करूँगा, तो लाइफ कब जीऊँगा? Reasonable problem है यार. नहीं, reasonable problem है कि नहीं? Reasonable problem है. So I gave him a last suggestion. I said, can you see that window? कूद जाओ ऐसे. How many of you see this guy stuck? Raise your hands. Do you see this guy stuck in life? Yes or no? Yes. This guy is fully stuck in life. What is his real confusion? What is his real confusion? He knows how to make a decision. What is his real confusion? So what is his? So what is his real confusion? So what is his real confusion? He doesn't want to. Would you give him a good hand first, please? Thank you very much. He actually stumbled upon the answer. The real confusion is that as human beings, we all want to make decisions, but we do not want to pay the cost. We want to make decisions, but we don't want to pay the cost for it. But we've already discovered what is the first fact of decision making? Every decision has a, what is the second fact? Cost is never an option, it is a, in fact there will be two kinds, which is that? Predictable and unpredictable ही कुछ तो होगा. Now this man, forget about predictable or unpredictable, he doesn't want to pay the cost only. Have you recognized yourself being into similar situations of life? Yes or no? Yes. That is where we are really confused in life. The confusion is not that you don't have the skill to make decisions. And true leaders in the world are very clear that they are willing to pay what? So there is a formula of decision making that leaders use. What is that formula? Can you guess that formula? Make a guess. What is the formula of making right decisions?
They are ready for both relays and predictable and unpredictable.
Okay. So here's the formula. Okay, listen to the formula very correctly. The formula is, the formula is if you pay your cost happily and courageously, your decisions will become right. If you pay your cost with regret, your decisions will become wrong. Say that with me, then you'll really get it. If I pay my cost happily and courageously, my decision will become right. If I pay my cost with regret, my decision will become wrong. Does that make sense to you? Now some people say, Mitesh, how can you call it a 100% formula? Like what's the guarantee this is a formula? Here is the guarantee, okay? And the guarantee, guess what? Doesn't come from my life. The guarantee comes from your own life. Let me prove it to you. Each one of you, okay, listen to this question, each one of you. Have each one of you ever taken a decision in your previous experiences where you thought your decision was right, you still think your decision is right, but there were some important people in your life who thought your decision was wrong, and they still think your decision is wrong? Have each one of you ever taken a decision like this? Yes or no? All of you have? Yes or no? Yes. Now my question to you is, there are some important people in your life who thought your decision was wrong. They still think your decision was? What makes you still think your decision is right? Tell me, what makes you still think your decision is right? Huh? So what? They also believe in themselves that you are wrong. Huh? So you are paying your cost courageously? Yes or no? Yes. And happily? Yes or no? Yes. You have the emotional ability to pay that cost happily and, see, both the words are important here. Happily and courageously. Do you think it's easy to go to war? No. Hello? No. Do you think it's easy to take a bullet? No. But do our soldiers do that? Yes. And when they take a bullet, do they die with a tear in their eyes, which is by crying, or with a smile on their face? Which means, do they regret their decision? No. Or do they make their decisions right? And how do they make their decisions right? Even while dying, they pay their cost courageously, happily and courageously. That is the difference between those people who make their decisions right and make their decisions wrong. And leaders are all about this. They take a decision, they take a risk in life, and before they take a risk, what do? They're not stupid. They don't take an uncalculated risk. What do they take? And what is calculated risk? How do you understand calculative risk? Understand the? So first think, what is the cost available in hand? Ordinary people, instead of thinking of the cost, they will go to 5 people and say, देखो क्या लगता है? क्या करूँ? They will ask for the advice of the right decision or the, not realizing that there is no decision in the world which is right or wrong. So how can he tell you what is the right or the wrong decision? Let's say he says, okay, let's Ashish says that, this is the right decision. कर लोगे क्या? Hello? No, because it's not necessary his right decision is going to be right for you. Because his right decision depends on what? His ability to pay the cost happily and courageously. And mine may not be the same, so I may make the decision wrong. The same decision which you said is right for you and wrong for your friends, why is it wrong for your friends? Because they can't imagine themselves paying the same cost that you're paying happily and courageously. Can they imagine themselves doing that? Hello? That is why they believe their decisions, that your decisions are wrong. Is that making sense now? Hello? Yes. So what leaders would do, they would do these two steps when they are making decisions. What is the first step they would do? Analyze the cost. Analyze the cost. Always analyze the cost with all your options. So if you've got 3 options, job, no job, correspondence, whatever the options are, analyze the cost of each. And if you really want to take advice, what advice do you take? It's a good thing to take advice, but advice about what? Ask people, can you see some cost which I cannot see? Because there will be some cost which you will not be able to predict, but maybe mama will be able to predict. Is that possible? Hello? Yes. Possibility, because some people's maturity is much more. So experience tells them the cost. Ask them, but don't ask for the right decision. Don't ask for an advice of the decision. Ask for the cost. What is the cost here? What is the cost there? Write that cost down. Okay. Now, one very important part. Never do this exercise without writing. Never, ever, ever do this exercise without writing. Because the mind has an ability. It can either underestimate the cost or it can exaggerate the cost. So write down the cost while you're analyzing. There are 3 points here, there are 4 points here, there are 5 points there. And then decide, okay, now what is the second step if you want to make a right decision now? You've written the cost down. Now what is the second step?
Accept that it's not reality. You have to incur it.
So you have to now choose what?
The best alternative.
Just choose the, is there a best alternative?
Lowest one.
What is, okay. So let's look at it. He said lowest. Let's say high cost here and there is low cost here. Which decision will you take? But you know what is low for you can be high for me. In fact, even what is low for you can be very heavy in the future. So don't go on the quantity of cost.
Return on investment. Yeah, what is going to come back on.
Let's take a live example since you spoke about return of investment. Let's talk about shares. Since we are on in the same industry, we will understand this example very correctly. Is that all right? Yes. Let's take an example. So let's say we're talking about Reliance Petroleum. And you want to decide which decision to take. Now I'll tell you how in the market decisions are going wrong for people in share industry, okay? And how the market is going down. Listen to this very carefully. In the market, this is how it works. People don't take decisions by analyzing the cost. In the market, people are buying shares based on what? Tips. Tips. इसने बोला खरीद ले, तो खरीद लिया. So let's say now, right now the share of Reliance Industries is 50 rupees. Just let's take an example, okay? And you bought the 50 rupee shares thinking it will go up to what? Take an example. 75. Chalo. Okay? Now, in share market, there is a rule which is exactly as per the decision making rule. What is the rule there? Decide what? The share market rule says decide your stop loss and decide your profit stop. Both, huh? Decide your profit stop and your stop loss, both. Is that right? Yes. Now let's say you decided that 1 month down the line, it will go to 75 and I will sell it out. It has been 1 month, the rate has come to 75. What are you supposed to do? And make money, is that right? Yes. Now what happens is you get another tip. Okay. So let's say, what's your name again, sir? Samir. Samir comes to you and says, अरे मितेश बेच मत अभी वो 75 का 125 होने वाला है मेरे को एक बहुत अच्छा टिप आया है 10 दिन में रेट ऊपर जाने वाला है now you get confused अरे यार अभी क्या करूं हैं now what happens you take a decision कि चलो वेट करते हैं टिप के बेसिस पे डिसीजन ले लिया अब 10 दिन बाद में 50 रुपीज हो गया now what is happening to you are you regretting or happy why are you regretting no not because you didn't sell it not because you didn't sell it at the right time because you were not ready for this cost you're regretting this cost that is why your decision became wrong yes or no but let us say the same person came to you and said 10 दिन रुक जा and you would have asked yourself hold on मेरा risk taking capacity 25 rupees का है actually तो एक काम करते हैं लेते हैं risk अगर 75 का मैक्सिमम मिनिमम 50 पे गया ना तो अपन बेच देंगे नो प्रॉब्लम रिस्क लेते लेकिन 75 के ऊपर अगर 90 पे गया तो भी बेच देंगे 125 के लिए नहीं वेट करेंगे तो लेट्स से 50 का 20 तो 75 का 50 पे आ गया आप क्या करोगे बेच दिया यस नो अब वो आदमी आके बोलता है यार तूने पहले ही बेच देना चाहिए था. What will you say? होता है यार, no big deal. रिस्क तो लेना ही पड़ता है मार्केट में. Yes or no? Will you say your decision was right or wrong? नहीं यार, मेरा डिसीजन राइट था. मुझे पता है ना 25 रुपए का भी लॉस हो सकता था, 50 रुपए का प्रॉफिट भी हो सकता था. चांस तो लेना ही पड़ता है मार्केट में. That's what a leader does. Calculated risk and willing to bear that cost happily and courageously. क्योंकि the moment you regret that cost ना, पता है दिमाग कहाँ जाता है फिर? The mindset is, अरे यार इधर भी लॉस हो गया. So then the market people decide, छोड़ यार शेयर्स में डील करना बंद कर देते हैं. Have you heard people doing that? Yes or no? Some of us in fact probably have done that already. पोर्टफोलियो देखना ही बंद कर दियो, छोड़ यार खोलते नहीं. Right? Now that is because we always took the wrong decisions without analyzing the cost. If you had analyzed the cost, you wouldn't be regretting today. Now let's look at it also another way around. You have a 50 rupee share and you decided that you will sell it after 1 month for 75. 1 month हो गया, 75 आया, आपको एक नया टिप है, 125 जाने वाला है. आपने बेच दिया, ये सोच के जाता भी है 125, no problem. I am willing to pay the cost of that 50 rupees, but I want this 25 extra. बेच दिया 75 में. दूसरे दिन 125 हो गया. And if the person comes to you and says, तेको बोला था ना मत बेच, what will you tell that person? If you had really decided कि हाँ जाएगा, मुझे पता है 125, but I don't want to take the chance, क्योंकि कोई गारंटी देता है क्या? कोई लिख के देता है क्या? Hello? दे भी नहीं सकता. It's not possible. So now what do you say? Was it a right decision or a wrong decision? It was a right decision. भैया मुझे पता था, अगर वो 125 पे गया है तो 50 पे भी जा सकता था. दो भी कुछ भी हो सकता था. So I took my decision accordingly. मेरी इमोशनल कैपेसिटी बोलती है 25 पे निकल लो. I don't want to wait till 125. Done. मेरा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गया. So you have to really ask yourself, what cost are you willing to pay? So ROI, decide कितना ROI चाहिए. जहाँ where we get too greedy about the ROI. Even in organizations, कि आज 2 resources है तो 3 हो जाएंगे, फिर 4 हो जाएंगे. So look at really how much ROI do you really want. In any decision in the world, there's a cost, predictable and unpredictable. Ask yourself first, what is the cost? You can take some advice on the cost. Second step, now choose which cost do you want to pay courageously and happily. Now, frankly, do you all have the ability to pay the cost happily and courageously? Do you have the ability? Look back in your experience. Have you ever paid the cost happily or courageously or not? Have you once at least, yes or no? So do you have the ability? If you have the ability, out of 2 costs, which cost can you pay happily and courageously? Which cost? The most predictable. Is that right? Yes. So choose कर लो. And now decide कि अब जो unpredictable होगा वो भी I am willing to pay happily and, because if you are not going to keep the unpredictable buffer in your mind, then again you will fall flat on the face. People who get into shares don't imagine that there is an unpredictable cost also, कि एक दिन market धप से भी down हो सकता है. Yes or no? Yes. Those people fall flat on the face. But there are people who are in business who know this, कि there might be a day when it goes fall flat on the face. Yes or no? Yes. I am ready to pay that cost happily. I am ready to bear that emotional cost and that pressure and that financial cost. People who are really ready for it are the only ones who will not say market is bad. They'll say यार ये तो होता है, this is phase, market का phase है, आज नीचे है तो कल ऊपर है, एक साल रुक ऊपर भी जाएगा, which everybody knows. Yes or no? Yes. It is bound to happen. When the Harshan Mehta thing happened, everybody said अभी ऊपर कभी नहीं जाएगा. The peak which we saw was never in history. But the down is also never in history, trust me. Again the peak will happen, again the down will happen. You have to be willing to pay the cost happily and courageously. If you're willing to do that, I promise you, your decisions will be right. Do we agree?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what I want you to quickly do is also write down what are some of your decisions which you would like to quickly make based on the concept that we learned right now. What are some of the pending decisions in your life which you have been confused? ये करूँ, वो करूँ, अभी करूँ, बाद में करूँ, ऐसे करूँ, वैसे करूँ, this way, that way. I'm sure there are some pending decisions in your life. Write them down. So that when you go back, you can do the exercise of writing the cost down, and step 2, choose the cost to pay them happily and courageously, and in 1 hour, your decisions are done. Not more than that. Not more than that. In fact, also write some past decisions which you have already made and you've been regretting you made the wrong decisions. Write them also down. And you can convert them into right decisions today. Everybody just take a minute before you continue writing. If you have a past decision which is already wrong, how do you convert them into right ones? By accepting what? The cost. Start paying the cost happily and courageously. Yes or no? Yes. The decision becomes right. See, because whatever decision you took in that moment was as per that moment. Yes or no? Yes. So pay the cost happily and courageously. Yeah, रोज रोज रोके क्या फायदा है? Or else, if you don't like the cost, then what should you do? Change the decision. If you think you can, then change the decision. But remember, changing the decision will not eliminate the cost. In a new decision, there will be new, predictable as well as. So check very clearly. Not paying the cost can be an attitude problem. Huh? Not paying the cost can be an attitude problem, thinking problem. And if not paying a cost is an attitude, habitual problem, then you will face the regret everywhere. Doesn't matter which decision you go to. So you may change wives, but that is not the solution. You may change companies, but that is not the solution. The solution is about paying the cost no matter where you go. Right? So quickly take a minute and write that down. What are some of the present decisions you think you can make by understanding the cost? And what are some of the past decisions which you can correct by looking into present today? And paying their cost happily and courageously. Quickly write them down. Yes, ma'am. Great. Okay. So let's close that book right now.